Welcome to the 5 on 5. This evening I'm joined by Dr. Mack Bandler. He's a radiologist here in Medford. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A radiologist in Medford, what is it that you do? Do you have an area that you focus on in radiology?
Well, I'm a diagnostic radiologist. I've been practicing in Medford for over 28 years now. And I do all of radiology, but I do have a special focus and interest in breast imaging.
What does that mean? Like mammograms?
So mammography and breast ultrasound, also breast MRI, and stereotactic breast biopsy, all manners of treating the breast with our imaging tests.
And speaking of, mammograms, what is it that we should know about breast cancer? You had been talking about, before we started the interview, how prevalent it is in women. It's
very prevalent. There's a woman in the United States has about a 12 to 15% chance of developing breast cancer in a lifetime. That's a 1 in 8. 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. In this country, in the United States, about 40,000 women will die of breast cancer each year. That's over 100 women each day. So it's very prevalent. That's the bad news. The good news is that we're able to pick up breast cancers earlier and earlier at a point when they're curable. When I first started this business, breast cancer, we didn't consider it to be curable, but these days it definitely is.
What steps are being taken to prevent women from coming down with breast cancer?
Well, the main test that we have that's been very helpful, of course, is mammography, and that's been refined, and there's even some new advancements that will be coming as well to make it even better. So mammography is our mainline, the mainline test that we have. We have other supplementary tests also, ultrasound, and we're starting to do more screening, breast ultrasound, and also MRI of the breast as well.
And is there a bit of controversy about mammograms, whether you should get an annual one? Can you explain if there is one?
There is some controversy. There's not much controversy about whether mammograms should be obtained in general. It's just about at what age it should be, a woman should start getting her mammogram, and also how often, whether it should be every year or every other year, and how long a woman should continue to do that. Should a woman stop getting mammograms in her 70s or 80s or 90s? So that's mainly the controversy, but there's no doubt that mammography is the best test we have, and it saves lives, and women should be on some program in conjunction with discussing this with their provider as to how often it should be done.
Okay. We'll be right back. We'll have more. Stay with us. Welcome back to the 5 on 5. Again, I'm joined here by Dr. Mack Bandler. He's a radiologist in Medford who focuses in breast imaging. So there's some new legislation from what I hear regarding breast imaging. Can you explain what it is? Tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure, there is. There's new legislation that was introduced that is for notification of women who have dense breasts. And the interesting thing, this legislation started last year. It only took 6 months from this bill to go from being introduced to being signed by the governor. That's how important even the legislature felt it was. It was enacted, it began January 1st. There was a grace period starting March 31st. Women who have dense breasts need to be notified by the facility where they had their mammogram. So very important.
And what does this mean for women with dense breasts? Does that mean there could be more follow-up tests? If there's something that looks...
Well, it means that it's a notification letting women know that there's really two things. One is that with dense breasts, the sensitivity of mammography decreases. Mammography in general is about 80 to 95% sensitive overall, but in women with dense breasts, it's less than 60%. So mammography is less accurate, or it's less sensitive. And number two, dense breasts, there's an increased risk of cancer in women with dense breasts. So those are two important things. Women need to know that, and the legislation also says that there are supplementary screening tests like ultrasound and MRI, which may be beneficial, and that they should discuss that with their provider, whether they should seek some of these other screening methods.
Would those other screening methods be covered then?
That's an issue. Currently, the legislation is ahead of the status quo, so they may not be entirely covered with a person's insurance company, or even with the government right now. So that's something that needs to be worked out. It could be an out-of-pocket of expense if a woman doesn't meet certain criteria.
In this legislation, are we talking Oregon? Do you know how many states have it?
Well, actually, just this week, the 20th state, Minnesota, enacted legislation. So there's now 20 states. There is federal legislation that's in 2014 will probably make it through. It might be one of the only things that our United States Congress passes, but there is dense breast notification legislation in both the House and the Senate coming through this year.
And you were talking about Oregon specifically.
Oregon
already has it.
And we're, as of March 31st, women with dense breasts get the letter that talks about dense breast, the increased risk of breast cancer, and this decreased sensitivity mammography, and talk to your doctor about some other screening methods if necessary.
If anybody has any questions about breast health, where can they go to find out more information?
Probably the simplest thing is the web, and medfordradiology.com. On our website, we have a link there that talks about dense breast both for providers and for patients. And then there's one called rudense.org, which was the one started by the woman who first began this legislation in Connecticut back in 2009. That's a very good, comprehensive website.
Okay, very good information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.